Time to take a look at the 7 classical lightsaber forms. Please note that for this video I used many now currently non-canonical expanded universe sources. Okay, I don't think I can continue to do that parody of military history visualized. Anyways, so yeah, today we'll be covering the 7 classical lightsaber forms, and I'm going to be giving my 2 cents on each of them. Starting with Form 0, finding a non-violent solution. It's good, but when that fails, you're going to have to use one of these. Now, you see, number 1, Shicho. Now, Shicho is a very interesting... Okay, so first I'm going to give a basic summary of it, and then I'm going to give my 2 cents. Now, Shicho is one of the most... It's made up of some of the most basic elements of swordplay, such as the parry and the slash. An example of it would be in the original movie when Luke is training against that robot, the little training droid thing. The blocking and slashing movements he's doing, those are called velocities, which are one of the most basic forms of, well, Form 1. Now, Form 1, I've found, at least according to the sources I've read, is always a good falling back point. And the most famous user of Shicho would have to be Kit Fisto, who actually this guy, he's definitely on my list of characters that look better animated. No, but anyways, he is a user of the Shicho format. And he also looks pretty good shirtless. Anyways, you can really see it was because of his Shicho mastery that he actually managed to last so long against Palpatine in Episode 3. However, he eventually died because, well, everyone knows Shicho. However, he stuck with a simple, easy-to-use format, right? Shicho, though, is it's one of the most basic forms. But it's always a good thing to fall back on. However, it's not exactly the most surprising tactic because, well, everyone knows Shicho. Now we move on to number 2, Makashi, or the contention format, also known as the way of the Yelisim. I think it's... I think this is the way of the... Yeah, this is the one that's the way of the Yselamari. The Yalisam... Oh yeah, I think this is in the legend section. It was actually developed... It's also known as the way of the Yelisimiri, or the contention form. Now, developed for the it's mainly made for lightsaber versus lightsaber combat. It's more on precision and efficiency. Form 2 allowed an initiate to defend themselves against an opponent with minimal effort. It was basically very elegant. However, after most Dark Jedi went away, it became kind of a joke. Because, oh yeah, there's no one else with a lightsaber, so we don't need this. Plus, it'll get you horribly killed when people have a lightsaber. But it would eventually be supplanted. However, its biggest death was when Form 3 came out, which was the most defensive of the forms. However, when then the Sith came back again. However, the most famous user would have to be Count Dooku. Although, interestingly enough, many different individuals used it, but Count Dooku is, I think, the most pure example of pure Makashi. Although a true Makashi duelist, quote, according to Count Dooku, Makashi duelists also trained themselves to avoid enslavement to form. As such, devotion opened the practitioner to be defeated by unpredictable tactics, what Count Dooku dubbed the unforeseen. It's also flexible, but it will get you shot horribly. However, you could overcome the weakness of Blaster. And also, if you're fighting multiple people, you're kind of screwed. Although, if you're good at it, you could still do well against multiple foes, such as Count Dooku, relying on his footwork to outmaneuver them and take them on one at a time, and Asajj Ventress with her dual blades. However, it was unable to generate kinetic energy in application, and blah blah blah. That's how Anakin managed to go around and do his jumping and stuff. Now, here, this is where things get interesting. The pictures. You see, Makashi, this is actually one of, or so I've read, Count Dooku actually still did the traditional Jedi salute, the Makashi salute, even though he turned his back on most Jedi traditions. Now, the salute was not an attack or maneuver. Oh yeah, now they're talking about the marks of contact. I forgot to get to that. Anyways, there are weapon specifications. Oh yeah, I have that book. So apparently, yes, the curved tilt lightsaber is common among practitioners of Form 2. To that I say, wait, there's other curved tilt lightsabers? Sweet! A light foil? Huh. I thought I knew everything about crazy lightsabers. I think this quote right here sums it up. Now I have to go back to the military history visualized parody. Oh, I really hope he's watching this. One of, in my opinion, the greatest masters of Makashi, Count Dooku, was quoted as saying, finesse, artfulness, economy. He was one of the... He actually trained Asajj Ventress and General Grievous, and he actually did pretty well against Yoda, who was using Form 4, which Form 4 is a very interesting counter to Makashi, because when a Makashi user can defeat someone using a poorly performed Form 4, they think to themselves, now this is true elegance. I can defeat this man without even moving my feet. However, Form 4 versus Makashi can get you killed horribly because they're all jumping all around. Jump, jump, jump. Jump, 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 bum. Oh, don't worry, we'll get to... No, I should save that joke for Form 4. Anyways. Yeah, maybe I should use other sources. But, if you guys don't know this, I frickin' love Form 4, okay? I mean 2, okay? I just love it because it's one of the most beautiful looking things. And also, it's the only lightsaber form, I believe, that is in its animal titling that's named after an EU creature, I believe. The Y Salamari. Which is most famous because of its usage in the Heir to the Empire novels, the original Thrawn trilogy, and I frickin' love Thrawn, okay? Yeah, it's not canonical. Really? Anywho. So, moving on to... Oh yeah, I guess I could just use this. Also, there's some other techniques and some interesting variations. Now, let's go to Form 3, because Form 3 I might need some help with, because... So, for years, I thought that Kenobi was a master of Form 6, but according to this, and the, Revenge of the Sith novel that I frickin' love, quote, Mace Windu to Obi-Wan Kenobi. That is so like you, Master Kenobi. I am called a great swordsman because I invented a lethal style. But who is greater, the creator of a killing form or the master of a classical form? Which is interesting that he's saying that to Obi-Wan Kenobi, considering that, I believe it was in episode 4, he said, who's more foolish, the fool or the fool that follows him? So, that may have been an interesting little tidbit they put in there. It was prior to and during the Clone Wars, it was really good, okay? It was mainly just, oh snap, they have guns, deflect, deflect. However, unlike Makashi, you won't get screwed over if they don't have a gun. But, it can't... Basically, it's a more defensive variant of Form 5. This one is hard for me to understand, because now, Form 3 for me is one of the hardest forms to really appreciate, because it doesn't have the elegance and eloquence of Makashi, the simplicity of Chicho, the acrobatics of Form 4, the balance of Form 6, the whatever it is Form 5 has, or the extreme aggressiveness of Form 7. Anywho, but basically, yeah, this entire time, I thought that Kenobi was using Form 6. So anyways, yes, Kenobi is the master of Surisu. Oh, also, it's used in the old Clone Wars series. Oh, and, after Darth Vader got all his limbs burned, he obviously couldn't do his Form 4ing, so, yeah. Anyways, let's move on to a form that I understand. Ataru. Also known as the Way of the Hawk Bat. Or as I call it, bum 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 bum. Jump, 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 jump all around. Bum bum bum. Bum 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 da 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 da. So put simply, this is just the form of jump around like a crazy person. It's also one of the easiest forms that you can screw up. People that don't know what they're doing, you know, it's like one of those things that everyone wants to do. This is very interesting. Dooku stated that he understood every weakness of the Ataru form, with its ridiculous acrobatics, given his many sparring lessons with Qui-Gon Jinn. Dooku's form tool would counter Ataru by launching a series of thrusts towards the enemy's legs to draw the opponent into flipping an overhead leap so that Dooku could burn through the enemy's spine from the kidneys to shoulder blades with his Makashi attack. Wait a minute. You mean like this?
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground! You underestimate my power! Don't try it!
Yes, I think... Yeah, I think exactly like that, actually. Also, I always love that little hand gesture he does when he says, I have the high ground. It's like... I like to imagine he's pointing at the ground with the lightsaber. And I also love how whenever Anakin is being evil Anakin, it always sounds like his acting is... It's almost as bad as his acting in the sand part. Like, you can almost see the script. They're holding it up in front of him. You underestimate my power. Oh, God. Anyways, yeah, this is basically the form of jumping around like a crazy person. The most famous user, besides Anakin, would have to be Yoda. Also, Yoda didn't get his limbs chopped off. And I think we can all agree that's what Yoda uses, mainly because he's very short. Oh boy, now we get to Form 5, which is actually the first of the split forms. You see, there's actually two different Form 5s. There's Shin, but there's also Jim Show, which for some reason rhymes with Jim Crow. Anyways, yeah, this is basically like Form 3, only you can deflect the bolts. Apparently, that's pretty old. Yeah, users include... I have no idea. Maybe this lady. Also, reverse grips. Well, in that case, I think a user would have to be, Ahsoka. Because they mentioned reverse grips. Oh, also here we can see him using Shin. So, yeah, this is... Oh, yeah, also, after Darth Vader got his limbs chopped off, he uses this some. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Anyways, moving on. To Form 6. Nemean. AKA what I thought. Now, this is one of those has no strengths but has no weaknesses either kind of dealios. If we're being honest, I really don't like those kinds of things. It's like, I guess because it just makes me think of boring but practical. So, put simply, Nimin is basically every stock weapon in TF2, right? It's good, but it doesn't really have any strengths or weaknesses, and it's kind of just meh. I mean, to me it is, right? But, hey, if you want balance, that's fine. I mean, it is basically the perfect metaphor for Grey Jedi, so I'm sure that they'll get a kick out of it. It's like, I represent the balance. I am neither light nor dark. Yeah, good for you, buddy. Good for you. Anywho, it's a hybrid martial art. Basically, it's just a big mesh of lightsaber formats. Also called the Diplomat's form. Oh, apparently XR Kun was a user, but I prefer to have people that actually still exist canonically. Yeah, lots of people. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great. Most of the users died in the first Battle of Geonosis. No, actually, all of them. They all died in the arena. That's just great. That's a very interesting person. But yeah, it's kind of just a... To me, it's a meh. Although that looks interesting. It's not most worthy of study, but it's the most practical. Oh, also there was this one guy who had 6 lightsabers. Dooku was all like... His form is... His footwork is sloppy and his form is non-existent. Oh, and Obi-Wan was all like, oh yeah, I hope I never have to face a guy with this many weapons. Well, don't worry, Obi-Wan, you don't have to face a guy with 6 lightsabers, but... Maybe you should plan against 4. Oh. Who else uses this? Practitioners. Oh, all these guys. Good for them. Oh, Darth Maul was a practitioner. That's interesting. Oh, and also Kenobi. I really love Anakin Skywalker. He's like, oh yeah, this is just an exercise in control. I don't need this. Yeah. How am I ever gonna have 2 lightsabers? Oh. Oh, Grievous actually. Now, oh. Yeah, the most prolific user was, Sin Zalag. So, what I'm seeing here is there are almost none that actually exist canonically. Yeah, I really don't like these kinds of things. I mean, to me, I just don't really like these kinds of things, you know, this whole kind of jack-of-all-trades thing, because, like, to me, it's just... Now we get on to the most complicated form. Form 6. Juyo. Or Juno. or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Vapad, Vapid, Vaping. Also, that's a very nice picture of Grand Admiral Thrawn staring at me creepily. So, yeah, Vapad was the thing made by Mace Windu. But before that, everyone used Judo, which was basically, it was kind of like the band technique, like, you kind of, if you used it, people were like, oh yeah, you gotta use evil feelings and stuff. But the Sith, they went crazy. Oh, and then he made it. But here's what I find interesting, right? Now, as far as I know, I haven't officially found it. However, as we all know, right? You know that famous Kyle Katarn quote about powers aren't inherently good or evil, it's how you use them? Well, I think this basically, yeah, this is pretty much a Sith style. Huh. Yeah, this is a very, very controversial form. Oh yeah, also Anakin Skywalker is forbidden to learn it, which was probably a good idea. Oh, there's actually a name for that place. Oh yeah, this is also what he did against Jango Fett when his head went flying. Yeah, yeah, Juyo is actually very hard for me to find information on because almost no one uses it, I found. Vapad, and Vapad has even less users. I mean, so yes, that was the seven classical lightsaber forms. Yeah. See you tomorrow, actually, where I will be doing the first part of my two-part video, What If the CIS Won the Clone Wars? In the first part, we'll be covering how the Emperor could still rise to power even if they did win the Clone Wars. So the first part of that video will basically be a debunking of the whole argument of they never could have won the Clone Wars because it was all rigged against them from the start. Okay, look. I'll save my thoughts on that for tomorrow. See you.